Everyone his trade. The company having appointed a person to conduct the game, he demands from each, successively, what trade or profession he chooses to adopt. All having fixed, they reveal their decisions aloud. When interrogated by a look, the person thus applied to must give a response conformable to the trade he has chosen. If he hesitates, the interest of the game is destroyed. Therefore he is made to pay a forfeit for every such delay, as also if he mentions the same thing twice. But take the following specimen, which will clearly explain the mode of playing it. Matthew, the conductor. Eliza, milliner. Jacob, pastry cook. Arabella, fruiterer. James, soldier. Donald, bookseller. Peter, physician. Susan, schoolmistress. George, the baker. Simon, butcher. Thomas, fishmonger. Charles, lawyer. Samuel, undertaker. Philip, silversmith. Conductor. I should like to tell you a story, but as I have a short memory, you must be sure to help me out a little. That is, when I look steadfastly in any of your faces, you must tell me what I fain would inquire, but know not how to ask. Attention! The conductor begins either by looking on the ground or veiling his eyes with his hands. Someone woke me this morning by knocking loudly at my street door. I jumped out of bed immediately, and thinking I should not have time to dress, I merely whipped up my looking at George. George, 6 penny worth of hot rolls. Conductor. As for my wife, she continued still lying, looking at Donald. Donald, in sheets. Conductor. I opened my dressing case and began to comb my looking at Arabella. Arabella, bunch of carrots. Conductor. Into the looking at James. James, touch hole of an 18-pounder. Conductor. As I wanted shaving shockingly, I called for, looking at Eliza. Eliza, a yard and a half of blue penny ribbon. Conductor. Determining first to wash my hands, I rang for Jacob, a basin of mock turtle soup. Conductor. Finding the whole toilet table in utter confusion, I began scolding my wife at a terrible rate. Why, you are a mere... Simon, calf's head. Conductor. My dear, said I, to let the maid lose all my Charles lawsuits. Conductor. Why, what has the hussy done with my dressing apparel? What shall I take for looking-glass? Donald, the monthly mirror. Conductor. What substitute can I have for tooth-powder? Peter. Take of Glauber salts 2 ounces. Conductor. Of what shall I make my toothbrush? Eliza. A plume of ostrich feathers. Conductor. And then what shall I take for a shaving brush? Susan. A good swinging birch rod. Conductor. What shall I take for soap? Simon. A pound of bullock's liver. Conductor. For a razor? Thomas. A swordfish. Conductor. For shaving paper? Charles. Your wife's marriage settlement. Conductor. When I was dressed, I went in haste down to the parlor, to see who it was knocked me up at such an unseasonable hour. I found it was my neighbor Stibbs, a fellow whose face is as long and as thin as a Simon butcher's cleaver. Conductor. Why, neighbor, said I, you look like a Thomas cod's head and shoulders. Conductor. What brought you here? Thomas. A lobster. Conductor. You made a precious noise. With what did you knock at my door? Simon. Ram's horns. Conductor. Anything else? Simon. Pig's feet. Conductor. Why, something has surely happened to you, my poor old man. You seem as pale as a Eliza. Scarlet satin spencer. Conductor. Your nose is like a Arabella. Potato. Conductor. Your eyes are for all the world like a couple of Arabella gooseberries. Conductor. And you hang down your mouth till it looks as long and as wide as James, a sentry box. Conductor. What do you want? Peter. Bleeding in the jugular vein. Conductor. What can I do in the matter? You should go to Mr. Slash, the surgeon. He'll bleed ye to your heart's content, I'll warrant me. There's not a doctor of them nowadays who will not leech and scarify his patients, while a drop of blood can be drawn from their veins, or a guinea from their purses. But pray, my good fellow, do explain for what you want me. James. A combat. Conductor. What? James. A field day. Conductor. After my declining to fight Crib, the champion, you surely cannot imagine I would accept a challenge from you, a fellow whose arms are like James. Ramrods. Conductor. Whose legs are like Jacob. Drumsticks. Conductor. And who is as broken-winded as Jacob, an apple puff? Conductor. You mistake the matter, cried Stibbs. It is not you I want to fight. I come to take you for my second. Indeed, said I. And with whom are you going to have a duel? Arabella, a meddler. Conductor. About what did you quarrel? Donald. All in the wrong. Conductor. With what shall I load your pistols? George. A sack of flour. Conductor. What shot do you mean to use? Peter. A box of Anderson's pills. Conductor. How do you mean to go to the place of rendezvous? Simon. In a butcher's tray. Conductor. How do you propose coming home? Samuel. In a coffin. Conductor. If you fail to hit your man with a pistol, what next will you use? James. A pair of 18-inch mortars. Conductor. If you also miss with these, what will you take for your last resource? Eliza. A minikin pin. Enough has been written to prove that this may be made the most entertaining game imaginable.